Goldman Sachs doesn't just advise governments, it staffs them. 3 of the last 4 United States Treasury Secretaries came from this single firm. The last 2 presidents of the European Central Bank, the current Prime Minister of Canada, the Prime Minister of Australia, the Prime Minister of Italy, Germany's Finance Minister, central bank governors on 5 continents. This is not a talent pipeline. This is not a coincidence. This is the most successful government infiltration in modern history, and it has been happening in plain sight for over 100 years. While we argue about elections and democracy, the same institution keeps placing the same kind of people into the same kind of positions, regardless of which party wins, which country votes, which crisis unfolds. You've been watching politics. Goldman has been staffing it. Here is the American receipt, and it reads like a protected franchise. Robert Rubin spent 26 years at Goldman Sachs, rising to co-chairman before becoming Treasury Secretary under Bill Clinton. He ran the American economy. When the Clinton years ended, the Bush administration needed a Treasury Secretary. They didn't call academia, they didn't call industry, they called Hank Paulson, the sitting CEO of Goldman Sachs. The man running Goldman became the man running American fiscal policy. He designed the government's response to the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. His former firm was among its largest beneficiaries. Barack Obama promised change and staffed the National Economic Council, the CFTC, and the White House Chief of Staff's office with Goldman alumni. Rahm Emanuel, Goldman alumnus, became his gatekeeper to power. Then Donald Trump campaigned against Wall Street and appointed Stephen Mnuchin, 17-year Goldman veteran, as Treasury Secretary. He appointed Gary Cohn, Goldman's president, as Chief Economic Advisor. He appointed Jay Clayton, Goldman's lawyer, to chair the SEC. Joe Biden promised normalcy and appointed Gary Gensler, Goldman partner, to chair the very same SEC. 5 administrations, 2 parties, 28 years, the same firm supplying the same offices. The names change, the worldview doesn't. Now, widen the lens, because America was never the whole project. Mario Draghi spent time at Goldman Sachs International in London as vice chairman. He became president of the European Central Bank. During the Eurozone debt crisis, the single most powerful economic institution in Europe was run by a Goldman alumnus. He launched quantitative easing, flooding bond markets with liquidity, while Goldman's trading desks profited from the asset inflation he created. Then he became Prime Minister of Italy. One man, the ECB, the Italian state. One Goldman resume. Mark Carney spent 13 years at Goldman, London, Tokyo, New York, Toronto. He became Governor of the Bank of Canada, then Governor of the Bank of England, then, in 2025, Prime Minister of Canada. 3 of the Anglosphere's most powerful sovereign institutions. One firm, same man. Rishi Sunak was a Goldman analyst before he became Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Malcolm Turnbull was a Goldman partner before he became Prime Minister of Australia. Mario Monti was a Goldman advisor before he became Prime Minister of Italy, before Draghi did the same thing. Romano Prodi was a Goldman advisor before he became Prime Minister of Italy twice, and then President of the European Commission. This is not influence. Influence means persuasion. This is placement. Goldman doesn't need to lobby governments, it already staffs. Now follow the central banks. Tito Mboweni, Goldman Sachs, became Governor of the Reserve Bank of South Africa. Ian Macfarlane, Goldman, became Governor of the Reserve Bank of Australia. Efthymios Christodoulou, Goldman, became Governor of the Bank of Greece. Petros Christodoulou Also, Goldman ran Greece's public debt management agency during the debt crisis that nearly collapsed the Eurozone. Goldman alumnus managing the debt crisis. Goldman trading desks holding Greek bonds. The conflict isn't hidden, it's structural. When governments face existential crisis, they don't call Goldman for advice. They hire Goldman to run the response. Goldman doesn't stumble into government. It engineered a 5-step system so effective it now operates automatically. Step 1. Recruitment. Goldman doesn't hire graduates, it selects people. Harvard, Yale, Wharton, Oxford, Cambridge, not for grades, for hunger. They hunt for raw ambition, the kind that makes someone build identity around achievement and around the institution that enabled it. Once you're a Goldman person, that identity never leaves you. Step 2. Conditioning. The Goldman experience is a forge. 100-hour weeks, relentless pressure, a culture that treats markets as efficient, regulation as distortion, complexity as manageable through engineering. This worldview becomes instinct, not ideology, but reflex. You don't believe markets should be deregulated, you know it, the way you know gravity. Step 3. Placement. Goldman doesn't wait for alumni to wander into politics. The firm actively cultivates government pathways, sabbaticals, board appointments, campaign finance networks. When a Goldman person enters government, they enter at the top: Treasury Secretary, Central Bank Governor, Prime Minister. Step 4. Network activation. A Goldman alumnus in government is never alone. They arrive with a network of former colleagues available for advice, available for support, available for employment when service ends. The network is the real asset. It's worth more than any credential. Step 5. Rotation. Government service enhances market value. Alumni return to Goldman or to hedge funds or to lobbying with deeper relationships, inside knowledge, and the ultimate credential: former Treasury Secretary. Then they advise the next administration, then the next. This is not a conspiracy theory. Goldman boasts about it. Their alumni in government list is a recruiting tool. Join us, you might run the world. The question is not whether this system exists. The question is why, after reading this receipt, we still pretend it's normal. Structural capture isn't abstract. It has victims. When Robert Rubin was Treasury Secretary, he championed the repeal of Glass-Steagall, the Depression-era law separating commercial banking from investment banking. The repeal passed in 1999. Within a decade, the mega banks it enabled required a $700 billion taxpayer bailout. Rubin's former firm, Goldman Sachs, benefited directly from the deregulation its co-chairman had delivered. When Hank Paulson managed the 2008 crisis, he designed TARP, the Troubled Asset Relief Program. Goldman received $10 billion directly. It received $12.9 billion more through AIG, money that flowed to Goldman to settle counterparty obligations at full value. While millions of Americans lost homes to foreclosure, Goldman was made whole. The bailout's architect had been Goldman's CEO. When Mario Draghi ran the ECB, his quantitative easing program bought sovereign bonds at unprecedented scale. Goldman's trading desks, positioned for exactly this intervention, profited from the asset inflation. The man pulling the lever understood Goldman's positions because he understood Goldman. He had been its vice chairman. When Petros Christodoulou managed Greece's debt restructuring, austerity policies protected European bank bondholders while Greek citizens absorbed pension cuts and a 25% collapse in GDP. The debt manager came from Goldman. The bondholders included Goldman. This is not individual corruption. Goldman alumni don't need bribes. They already believe what Goldman believes. Their worldview was forged inside the firm. When they enter government, they carry it with them. The system doesn't have Goldman's influence. It has Goldman's DNA. The pattern has accelerated, and it shows no sign of stopping. In the 20th century, Goldman alumni held top positions occasionally. Henry Fowler at Treasury in the 1960s, Arthur Levitt at the SEC in the 1990s. Notable, but sporadic. An anomaly, not a pipeline. In the 21st century, the pipeline became institutionalized beyond anything the prior century saw. Every administration, both parties, same talent pool, same networks, same worldview, delivered to the same offices, implementing the same deregulatory framework, protected by the same revolving door. And the acceleration is global. When the UK needed a Bank of England governor, it chose Carney, Goldman alumnus. When the ECB needed a president, it chose Draghi, Goldman alumnus. When Italy needed a prime minister, it chose Draghi again. When Canada needed a prime minister, it chose Carney again. The same names rotating through the same sovereign offices. Different countries, different crises, same training. Goldman employs approximately 45,000 people. Its alumni run countries whose combined population numbers in the billions. 45,000 people staffing the governments that govern the planet. That is not a business. That is a government in waiting, a shadow civil service that rotates into power regardless of election outcomes, regardless of national sentiment, regardless of crisis. And the next Treasury Secretary, the next ECB President, they're probably already on Goldman's payroll, waiting, training, preparing. Goldman Sachs doesn't advise governments. It staffs them, not through conspiracy, not through bribery, through a 100-year system of recruitment, conditioning, placement, and rotation, refined to the point where it now operates automatically, placing alumni at the apex of almost every major economic policy institution on the planet. 3 Treasury Secretaries, 2 ECB presidents, the current Prime Minister of Canada, the Prime Minister of Australia, central bank governors across 5 continents. The next crisis will arrive, and when it does, the person managing the response, deciding who gets rescued and who gets left behind, will almost certainly have come from the same firm. The world isn't run by politicians. It's run by the people who decide who becomes them. If you want to keep unmasking the invisible forces that run our world, make sure to subscribe. This is The Blueprint. Thanks for watching.